What is going on, everybody? We are back. It's your boy Simo, and today going through part 2 for a recommended team for BDSP coming out in about 3 weeks. I'm so excited. So today we're going to be jumping into the second starter of the game, and that is the Monkey Boy, Chimchar, and Infernape. So let's get straight into the team and see what my opinions are on this. Obviously, starting with the phenomenal boy, we're playing Infernape in this team. He's a fantastic mon, super hyper offensive, fast, special, physical attack all through the roof. Defenses are on the frail side, I must say, but firefighting, great offensive. He learns great moves. Flame Wheel is nothing crazy, but holds its own for most of the game. Then he learns close combat, which is fantastic. He learns Flare Blitz, which is brutally damaging. Obviously, the recoil is a bummer, but still does massive damage. You don't care. If you one-shot something and you take a 30 of health, you do not care in the slightest. It's a fantastic character. So, probably the easiest run through in the originals. I'm not going to say anything for the new one. I don't know what they're going to change, but obviously based on the gym leaders and stuff, it's probably going to be very similar. Obviously, the new Pokemon, you can find the new typing of Fairy. Doesn't really affect Infernape all that much, but just a great mon that probably is the easiest run through in the game. I didn't actually mention that in the last one, but Torterra probably is the hardest starting one to play through, and I think Empoleon is the hardest team to make because there's so many water types and not many fires, and there's a couple of grass, but they're not great. So I think Empoleon is the hardest team building. I think Torterra is the hardest playthrough, and I think Infernape is the easiest playthrough and the easiest team building because he's just a good fire type. Evolving at level 14 is fantastic because normally you can get it before the first gym. Then you evolve your Chimchar into Monferno, and he learns Mach Punch. His first fighting type move, not very strong. It's only 40 base power, but it's enough to beat a rock type gym. Like, it's super strong. You've already got your second evolution base stats, so you're improved than a Chimchar. You're not a Piplup or a Turtwig coming in with Razor Leaf or Bubble. You've got more stats. You now got a stab fighting move that's pretty strong. It does the damage, and you just blitz through that. And then the second gym is grass, so you're a fire type. It's so easy. You just blitz through the first 2 gyms. Obviously, the third one, depending on if it's Platinum or Diamond and Pearl follow through, it's either fighting or Ghost. So probably fighting, I'm assuming, to go to Veilstone, which doesn't really matter to you because you're a firefighting anyway. So it's just a really good mon, very I'm gonna say super easy to play throughout the playthrough. He's a fantastic character to pick. So if you are looking for an easy run, definitely go with the Infernape. To fill out the second part of the core, I've gone a Pokemon that obviously is from the Kanto region, which is a bit of a bummer. I always like to choose new ones, so you could choose the, I guess, Sinnoh variant instead. So I've actually chosen Vaporeon. Vaporeon is a Soul Water type like someone else in the generation, which I'll get to later. But it's a bulkier mon. It's quite good HP stat and special defense stat. Also has good special attack, so definitely feels the role of a special attacking water type who can heal, stay alive long, quite bulky. So definitely plays a more defensive water type role than if you pick someone like Floatzel, who could use instead. That's another attack, a physical attacker, which you kind of want to balance your team to be physical and special. But Floatzel is a great pick if you want to play Sinnoh variant Pokemon. If you've seen enough Vaporeons in your time, pick up the Floatzel. But I think Vaporeon fits out this team quite well based on the rest of the teammates. So you have to wait and see who they are to see why I've chosen Vaporeon as the specially defensive attacker character as a water Pokemon instead of the physical fast Floatzel that is in the Sinnoh region. So everyone knows that the combination triangle of grass, fire, and water is obviously the stock standard for most team building. You kind of want to build out your team to be around those 3 typings, the 3 core types, so that you cover a lot of weaknesses and they all cover each other. That's the whole gist of it. But there is actually a substitution you can kind of make, which is you switch out the grass, because grass beats water, obviously. That's the whole point of it. So you switch out grass for an electric type. It can work. It's risky because then you get a ground weakness rather than a resistance. So it's risky, but it pays off in some sense. So for the third core, I guess the third person in the core, that is Infernape, Vaporeon, I've actually chosen Roserade or Luxray. So obviously one's special, one's physical, so they're on complete opposite ends of the spectrum. One's a kind of defensively, he's a defensive character, so he doesn't have crazy defense, but he's got decent HP, big attack stat, not super fast, does his job, electric, Thunderfang, Crunch, Wild Charge, all that jazz. And then Roserade on the other end is quite specially defensive, a little bit faster, I think. Poison, grass, special attacker, evolves from a stone, all that jazz as well. They cover the water weakness. Obviously, poison is also then good for grass and things, so it kind of helps that. But as a grass type, you kind of want to be the resistance to ground, which Roserade isn't, unfortunately, because that poison weakness makes ground neutral on Roserade, which is a real bummer because there's not really many grass types that are there's actually not that many grass types in Sinnoh either. So you got Tropius, obviously very late game. You got Torterra as the starter, but we're playing Infernape now. And then you've got like, who wants Wormadam as a bug grass? Like no one wants that. And then the other best bet is Roseroid. Roseroid's a great Pokemon. But when you want a grass type, you are looking for that ground resistance. And they just don't have it, so you don't really care not having that ground resistance. So if you want to play Luxray instead, it's not that much different. Obviously, you are weak to it now. But if you're running a specially defensive Vaporeon, you might want to run a Luxray who can kind of sweep through flying types or water types. Just be a bit more physical, because a lot of water types are specially defensive. So running a physical attacker could be a better option. So maybe if you run Floatzel instead of Vaporeon, run Roseroid. And then vice versa, if you run Vaporeon, then run Luxray instead of Roseroid. Having a single ground weakness is good. From the starter, it's pretty standard, it's not unnormal, sorry. But then having a second ground weakness is kind of a bummer. So because we either got Luxray or Roseroid, who is obviously neutral, but Luxray is weak to ground, you want to have a flying type. And I can't think of anyone better than Staraptor. I think Staraptor is a great Pokemon. Fantastic, super easy. You get it on Route 2, like it's Route 1, or I forget Route 202. I forget what the route is on Diamond and Pearl. It's been a while. But the second route of the game. Like, it's right there. Route 1. It's there as well. You get Starly, Staravia at 16, I'm pretty sure. And Staraptor at 36. Same as most starters. Fantastic physical attacker. And as well, I've actually chosen 2. So you can go Staraptor or then Honchkrow. I think Honchkrow is also a great character. But Honchkrow is specific to Diamond in the original. You can only get Murkrow in Diamond. I don't know if that's going to stay the same. I know they do have some regional variants, but I'm pretty sure that's just Stunky and Glameow. So I'm assuming they've kept all of them. So this is for a Diamond build. And then I've got an alternative for the next Pokemon as the Pearl build. So if you're running Diamond, I would say get Honchkrow, because I think Honchkrow is a really cool Pokemon. He's super sick. Dark types are handy. It's better than normal. Obviously, you are still neutral to fighting, but then you also beat Psychic. You're neutral to Bug, which is a shame. Still weak to Electric and Rock as all the same, but you can just get rid of those Psychic types that can be quite pesky, like Espeon or Alakazam. It's just not a bad type to have. Obviously, now you are weak to Fairy, which is kind of a letdown, but Staraptor mostly was using Brave Bird or Close Combat anyway, so either ruining themselves with Recoil or debuffs, or hitting a fighting type move, which is going to do nothing to a Fairy type anyway. So either Staraptor or Honchkrow in Diamond. You can choose Staraptor for both, obviously, but if you are playing Diamond, you can only choose Honchkrow. So if you are looking for that, maybe choose Honchkrow in the Diamond version. For the opposite end of the spectrum, I've actually got a pair that could be instead. And as the first one, I think having another special attacker would be handy. So having Luxray is probably really good, because then you got a physical attacker, or like I said, Floatzel instead of Vaporeon, because you kind of want to mix it up. But we do have the sixth Pokemon is a physical attacker, so don't worry. But we've actually got Alakazam. I know it's another Kanto Pokemon, and I'm sick of seeing them. They're everywhere. They're in every generation. They're always sticking around. But can't deny when a Pokemon is good. I would love to put Gengar on every team. I think Gengar is fantastic. He's one of my favorite Pokemon. But having that ground weakness and no more levitate is a real destroyer. He adds another ground weakness to the team, and you don't want that when you're playing a steel type or an electric type or a fire type, like, or rock type. You don't want any of that. You don't want more ground weaknesses than you already are going to have in this game. So adding someone that isn't weak to ground, who is a great special attacker, very fast, quite offensive, learns good moves like Shadow Ball and Psychic, fantastic Pokemon to just have in your team. Not that hard to get. Obviously, you do need a link trade, but with the global station and all the online now it's on the Switch, it's not that hard to get an Alakazam. The Alakazam is for either both or the Diamond build. So if you want to run Honchkrow Alakazam, I think that's good, because then you're weak to Fairy, then you're not. It's just kind of like a balance. And then instead of Alakazam, in the Pearl version, you can run Mismagius. So you can't get Mismagius in Diamond, and you can't get Murkrow in Pearl. So they're the two opposing pairs. So one, we've got Honchkrow and Staraptor, and then we've got Alakazam and Mismagius for Staraptor. So we've got the double pair, we've got the crossover, because having a ghost type is really nice. Get rid of that fighting weakness, get it rid of completely, it's gone. You don't want to use Gengar, because like I said, it's another ground weakness, which is a big deficit these days. So having a ghost type is fantastic. It's great offensive. Obviously, it's very similar to Alakazam. Great pick, because it's quite offensive, does the job, covers a couple types, gets rid of that fighting, either weakness or resistance, and then just can be, like, Ghost hits almost everything for neutral damage. That's good coverage. If you have a Shadow Ball, obviously Alakazam can learn Shadow Ball as well. Obviously then Psychic, but weak to more things. But both are quite fast, both are quite special, or very specially attacked, have good special defense as well, so they're not slackers. They're not just going to die in one, like other Shadow Ball or something. They should live one Shadow Ball, but they're both specially heavy and fast Pokemon that can just just good coverage for the team, and that's why they're on this list. The final Pokemon is a Pokemon that is a Steel type. It's not Lucario this time because we don't want another ground weakness as like having a fire starter. You don't want 3 ground weaknesses if you choose Luxray. But I've actually chosen Scizor. You can get Scyther quite early. I think it's after between the 2nd and 3rd gym near Solocian Town. You used to be able to get it in those ruins. I don't know if it's still there in that tall grass, but it used to be. And that's not that late in the game. That's probably around the 20 mark, 20-25 mark. And getting a Scyther then, getting a Metal Coat won't be that hard. Otherwise, Scyther's a good Pokemon still, but I've chosen Scizor for the resistances. Yes, he's weak to fire, so if you want that, then you don't want another weakness to fire. Instead of Roserade, use Luxray. That's why I've had these couple options here to make it a little bit... You can choose based on what weaknesses you don't want to have, but having Scizor is fantastic. Like I said, he's only got 1 weakness. He's got heaps of resistance being a Steel type. He's got a lot being a Bug type. He's great against Dark, Psychic, all those types that a lot of people struggle with, like Infernape, struggle against Psychic. Steel is great at resistance, takes out Rock, Ice, and Fairy these days, so it's really handy. Just a good Pokemon to have. Scizor's fantastic. He's great competitively. He's great in story. He's quite good. Scyther is still quick and high attack. Scizor's obviously the bulkier, slower version with a little bit more attack, but both are great. If you can't get a Metal Coat, don't stress about that, but I chose Scizor to be a bulky, offensive mon that has the Steel type advantages without having the ground weakness disadvantage. So that is my recommended, I guess I'm going to say recommended for these videos, just the recommended team that I would have for an Infernape starter if you're playing BDSP. And I think it's pretty good. That's why I've chosen. I think it's pretty good. That's the whole point of these videos. So I've gone through, obviously had a lot of coverage. This one has less main glaring weaknesses than the Torterra build. It's obviously going to be quite easier. Obviously, some of them are harder to get, so things like Alakazam, who you need a trade, or a Metal Coat for Scyther to get Scizor, obviously quite harder to get than standard Pokemon like in the Torterra build, but having Infernape will make the playthrough super easy compared to the other 2 starters. So if you are looking for an easy one, and obviously Infernape's really cool, who doesn't love like a fire monkey that's like Wukong? Like, it's fantastic, he's a cool mon. Obviously, he's probably the most chosen one, but he is super easy, so if you are looking for an easier run through, play Infernape with a build similar to this. Like I said, you can use normally the triple core weakness of fire, grass, and water. You can always change out grass for electric if that's what you want. I sometimes do that. I love the electric types. But hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. Comment down below who you're going to choose as your starter character for BDSP and what team you're looking at playing. And if you got any ideas from here, if you're like, oh yeah, I love Miss Majors, I'll put that on my team now. But please let me know in the comments down below. And as always, take it easy.